The hardest person to outgrow is not your enemy. It is not your parents. It is not your past. It is not the people who doubted you. Most of the time, the hardest person to outgrow is the old version of you. And I know that is uncomfortable to hear because when life keeps repeating the same patterns, every instinct in you wants to point outward. The money's not coming in. The relationship keeps falling apart. The business is not growing. The confidence comes and goes. You make a decision to change. You commit. You start building momentum. You can almost taste the new reality you are trying to create. And then, almost like clockwork, something falls apart. A massive expense drains your bank account. A quiet argument turns into a war. Or you just wake up one morning with a heavy, unexplainable exhaustion that makes you want to quit. And the mind says, see, nothing is changing. This always happens to me. Maybe I'm just not meant for more. Here's the truth, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Life is not punishing you. The resistance you are feeling is not coming from the outside world. It is coming from the version of you that is terrified of leaving the past behind. Your brain is a survival machine. It does not care if you are happy, wealthy, or free. It only cares about keeping you alive. And to your brain, safe simply means familiar. Even if your current reality is painful, even if you are drowning in debt, stuck in a toxic dynamic, or chronically stressed, your mind knows how to survive it. It knows the rules of that game. So when you're trying to step into a completely new reality, your nervous system registers that change as a threat. You are essentially asking your old identity to die, and your old identity fights for its life. It does not fight you with logic. It fights you with deeply ingrained habits. It makes you procrastinate on the exact work that will set you free. It hyper-focuses your attention on that unexpected bill, so you drop right back into the familiar comfort and anxiety of lack. It uses your own reality to manipulate you into staying exactly where you are. This is the human problem. We think we are fighting the economy, or bad luck, or a lack of resources. But the real war is entirely internal. I know this because I lived it. Early in my career, I was grinding hard to become a software engineer, managing remote teams across multiple time zones, chasing the next title, completely consumed by the climb. And I had a woman who loved me, genuinely. She was in Florida, in medical school. I was on the West Coast, long distance. But it was real. She wanted more of my time, more presence, more of me. I told myself I was too busy, that the work demanded it. Then my contract ended. And in that gap, when things got tight, she did something I did not expect. She told me to move in with her, said she would take care of things while I got back on my feet. And I said no, not because I didn't love her. I did, but something in me could not accept it. I told myself, a man doesn't let his woman carry him. I was not going to be that guy. Instead, I told her I was going to pick up a job at McDonald's just to stay afloat. She left, and for a long time, I told myself the story was about her not being able to handle a man in a rough patch. But here's what I eventually had to face. The old version of me, built on pride, on a rigid idea of what a man is supposed to be, looked at a woman offering real love and real support and called it a threat to his identity. She was not asking me to be less. She was asking me to let someone in, and I could not do it. That rule felt like strength. It was a cage. And that is when I stopped asking, why did she leave? And started asking, who was I being? That made staying impossible. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. They think the answer is to fight the old self, to hate it, to shame it into submission. That does not work because the old self is not a demon. It is a scared pattern. It is a younger part of you that learned how to survive. You learn how to stay small enough to feel safe. You learn how to dress fear up as pride, as discipline, as strength, so you will never question it. It says, don't risk it. Don't need anyone. Stay here. At least we know how to survive here. You do not destroy that part of you. You outgrow it. But here's what that actually requires. You have to stop taking the bait when the unexpected crisis hits, when the fear floods your chest, when everything seems to go wrong right when you were finally getting somewhere. You must recognize it for what it is, a tantrum from your old self. You don't ignore reality of the situation. If the bill is due, you pay it, but you do not let the event drag your internal state back down into panic or victimhood or despair. You handle the physical world, but you refuse to break your internal alignment. You stop saying, I always fail, and you start saying, this is a hard moment, but it is not my identity. You stop saying, the universe is against me, and you start saying, life is giving me a moment to practice the state I claim I want to live in. That is not denial. That is discipline. This is where spirituality stops being a concept and starts being a practice. You are not the fear. You are the one noticing the fear. You are the space in which the old story appears. And once you can see it, you are no longer fully trapped inside it. That is freedom beginning. Not perfect freedom, not instant alignment, just a little space. And sometimes a little space is enough to change your life. So the next time something happens that seems to pull you backward, pause, breathe, ask yourself, what part of me is reacting right now? Is this truth or is this familiarity? Am I responding from who I am becoming or from who I used to be? That one question can break a pattern that has been running for years because the old you survives in unconscious reaction. But it begins to dissolve in awareness, not through hate, not through shame, not through pretending to be spiritual, through seeing clearly, through choosing differently, through becoming calm enough to stop worshiping every fear that passes through your mind. The old you is not your enemy, but it cannot be your leader anymore. Thank it for helping you survive. Then take the wheel back, because the life you are asking for will require a version of you who no longer bow to every familiar fear. It takes immense courage to outgrow yourself, but if you can pause, if you can observe the fear without becoming it, if you can watch your old identity through its fits and say, we don't live there anymore, that is the exact moment the invisible wall shatters. That is when you stop repeating the past and finally start creating the future. Not by forcing the world to change first, but by becoming someone who no longer abandons themselves the moment life gets uncomfortable. That is how you break the loop. That is how you stop going in circles. And that is how you begin to create from truth.